less than 1% of people actually build successful agencies and override that agency. Everybody else is a slave runner dialing for dollars. That's why the average person in some of these companies is 27 years old. I've been the number one earner, multiple companies. I've been the master distributor of multiple companies, and I've even owned my own network marketing company. I've made millions of dollars. Why am I in this industry? I would not feel comfortable signing up a new person who's excited and motivated, has got some goals. Come on in, go get your license. Let me take all your warm market, and then I'm gonna start you off at a 25 or 30% contract. I don't think that's right. I just don't. Am I saying that the industry is dead? I'm not saying the industry is dead, but leaders are leaving the industry in droves. This is the industry, the number one industry they're going to, because here's what leaders ask themselves after some time, which, by the way, a team of 20 people here can make you more than a team of 2,000 people in network marketing. Let that sink in. Hey guys, once again, welcome to the Ownership Empire podcast. And I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Ed Ayala. Ed, how you feeling, brother?
What's up, Jay? How you doing? Doing great.
Incredible, bro. Hey, I went ahead and copied you. Our first episode, you had a black shirt. You look real cool with a black shirt. And I found the first black shirt I could find, which is our Mentor Factory shirt. Remember that?
One of my favorites. Yep.
Right. We'll be having probably some Mentor Factories here, but that's a conversation for another day. We had a good first podcast. By the way, before we even start, I want to let our listeners know that it was our first podcast, even though I've done podcasts before, but usually in person. So we did it to where it only shared whoever the person speaking was. Now you get to see both of our hands and faces, right? And so, we're getting better as we go along, so bear with us. But one thing that's not going to change is the quality of the information that we're going to share with you, right? So with that being said, what's up, brother? What are we talking about today, man?
We were touching a little bit, right, on the importance of money and, it gives you the ability to have ownership of, your decisions, your time, right? Like pretty much, it is what it is, right? It's a capitalistic world. If you don't have money, it's like oxygen, if it wasn't that way, right? If we were trading trinkets or something, it would be trinkets, right? But right now it's dollars. And, the goal here is to help people not just make more money, but also, right, if they're interested, right, build something long-term wealth, right? And that's why we have the Ownership Empire. So I think maybe, I wanted to talk about some of the biggest money problems that people have, right? I think if you would agree, right? Debt is probably the big, killer that creates massive stress, in people's lives, right? You get your check. I remember I was there when I was a New York City detective, right? I got my check. It was already spent, okay? It's a tough feeling because you have one little emergency, a car emergency, a health emergency, right? It puts you in turmoil. So I think the number one reason, which is still today, right? I was checking on AI. The biggest reason for divorce is still money problems, right? Having financial issues, And that sucks, right? You got a good relationship and you're having problems to that extent that you have to get a divorce because of, and it's not right. It's not the abundance of money. It's the lack of money. That's where the problems kick in. Yeah. And there's just so many, man, right? It determines where you're going to live, right? It determines your zip code, if your kids are going to go to public school or private school. It determines if you're going to go on vacation or you're not going to go on vacation. Living under somebody else's rule, right? A boss, right? Most people don't like to have a boss. So it's just so many things that I discovered when I got in business. I learned, wow, it's not just about having a job like we were taught, right? Go to school, get a job, and get a weekly paycheck. That's not what it's about. So that's why I'm excited to be with you on this podcast because there's a lot of wisdom that we could share.
Yes, indeed, and I agree with you with the money part. That's why today, the episode, we're going to talk about money. We're going to also talk about what we are doing, what we are building, the company that we are building to make that money with. Not only to make money, but to make millions and millions of dollars and to create a ton of millionaires. That's really the goal that we have. But we're going to start it off by talking about money. And it's true what you say. Most people, they get their check and it's gone before, they even cash it, right? Unfortunately, that's where we live. They have too much month at the end of the money. But it doesn't have to be that way. And that's why in this podcast, we talk about money. We talk about personal development. We talk about business. And if you're stuck in a rut, how to get out of that situation. So let me ask you this, bro. Tell me a couple of things that you've learned about making money, some philosophy, some principles to make more of it, to keep it, Whatever you want to touch on. What have you learned?
Number one of all, I get this question a lot. Number one, okay, and it was what I call a paradigm shift in my life. Okay, I remember sitting in a seminar, and the speaker talked about a guy named Robert Kiyosaki. Right, I had never read his books, but I heard about Rich Dad Poor Dad, best-selling, business author, all that, multimillionaire, and he explained one of his other very popular books called The Cash Flow Quadrant. So I'm just telling the audience, if you have not read that book, okay, Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, that is a must, okay? Because I had never heard, Jay, that information before, right? So anyway, he breaks down real simple, okay? It's basically, he says, most of us, okay, most of us, the majority, okay, we're taught from the day we're born. As a matter of fact, yeah, from the day you're born, because you hear it in your household, right? They might be
Right.
talking to your older brothers and sisters. It might be your uncle talking about it, or your parents talking about it, right? Which is, hey, make sure you get good grades, right? Go to school, make sure you get good grades. Why? So you can get into a good college, get a degree, right? And hopefully you get one of these fancy Ivy League degrees. But at the end of the day, what's the purpose that we were all taught, the programming, right? To get a good job, right? Maybe with good health plan, a good salary, a good pension. And then if you work hard, okay, you have a dream life. Well, you know what I ask people? How's that working out for you? Okay. 9 out of 10 people, it's not working out that well. So back to the cash flow quadrant. What the cash flow quadrant in Kiyosaki teaches is there's 4 ways to earn money, 4 basic ways to earn money. Okay. Legally, of course, right? Because I used to lock up the
Right.
bad guys, right? That
Clear
think
that up.
that's a whole different topic. But the 4 legal ways to earn money basically fall into these categories, right? Employee, and he talks about the E in the quadrant. An employee, okay? You got a job, you're trading your time for dollars, okay? And you're limited. The reason why you're limited is right is because if you work 40 hours, you get paid for 40 hours. If you want to make more money, like I used to, you put in an extra 10 to 20 hours a week. But at some point, you cap out, right? Because you're getting
Yep.
paid for time. You only have so much time, right? That's an employee. You don't have any ownership. You have no control. You don't control your time. Somebody tells you when to show up and when to leave. The next best on the cash flow quadrant is someone who's self-employed. So it's the E, the S. S stands for self-employed. Who's this person? Well, they're a little bit better off than an employee. Why? Because they choose when they want to work. They make their own schedule. Okay. They can make as much as they want to make. However, they're still limited. Who are these people? S stands for self-employed. So you pretty much employed yourself, right, Jay?
Right.
These are, believe it or not, these are salespeople. These are doctors, dentists, lawyers. Okay. Because why? Even though a heart surgeon, some people might go, wow, heart surgeon, they make about a $500,000 a year, a good heart surgeon, but that's their limit, right? Because if he doesn't go out there, he or she, and performs heart surgery, you don't get a paycheck. And isn't it funny, Jay, right? Doctors call the dentist a fee for service, right? It's really like a commission, man, right?
That's right.
If you don't have people in that waiting room, you don't have clients, you're not getting paid. So same thing, right? They're limited by the amount of clients they can see in a day and a week, so their paycheck is limited. Okay, and they don't have a lot of free time because same thing. If they want to make more money, most self-employed people, right? They're usually motivated. They put a lot of time in, so you make more money, maybe $200,000-300,000 a year, but now you got no time to spend with the family, right? The next
Right.
one, okay, here's my favorite. This is the one I didn't know. So I'm sitting in that seminar, I'm going, okay, I knew about the first two, okay, being an employee, being self-employed. I didn't know about the third one, and that's B for business owner. Who's a business owner? This is someone that owns a business system. Okay, so think about McDonald's. Okay, that's a franchise, a business system, right? The
Yep.
owner is not there to cook the hamburgers and French fries. What do? They hire and train other people to cook the burgers and fries, and they're making right. They're getting paid on the efforts of those people. What about a Remax, right? Or a real estate business, right? You're hiring other people, and why is that important? Here's why: because God only gives us 24 hours in a day. Even if you didn't sleep, you didn't eat, you didn't take a shower, you didn't do nothing, all you did was work, you could only work 168 hours in a week, 24 times
Right.
7, right? 168. That's the max, which is humanly impossible, right? But guess what? If you've got 10 people working on your team, keep it simple. Let's say in the real estate business, they're each working 40 hours. 10 people times 40 hours is what, Jay? 400
400.
hours, right? So you're getting paid on the efforts of 400 hours. And that's when my mind went, wow, that's called leverage. Dude, that was never spoken in my house. Time
Right.
leverage, getting paid on the efforts of other people. I never understood that concept, right? You know,
Yep.
So that's how you can create wealth, by owning a system where you're getting paid on the efforts of other people. And then the final one is the I, which is the best of all. Because B is you're getting paid, right? People are earning you income. The I is you're an investor. Now you're taking the cash flow that you're earning from that business, investing it, and now you got your money working for you. You know what I like about that, Jay? Money don't get tired. Money doesn't complain.
But
Money
overall's on your money.
doesn't cause it right, doesn't call in sick. Okay. So to keep it simple again for the audience, right? You accumulate $1 million, okay? Say in the market, or a cash accumulation program, whatever. And just to keep it simple, $1 million, 10% interest a year, you're earning $100,000 a year without touching the principal. Okay. And if $100,000 a year without having to go to work and not touch the, if that gives you financial freedom, you're free. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the key. So whatever you need, $2 million, okay, $3 million, which we're going to show you how to do that here, right? There are vehicles where you can get that done. So, brother, that was, I always say it, I heard that close to 30 years ago. That really changed my life. Because then you know what I said? I said, wait a minute, I've been all this time I've been on the left side of the quadrant, I've been on the wrong side. I got to get on the right side. And then my brain was already looking for a business system, and I found it. But we got the best one here. So yeah, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, no, first of all, it changed my life when I saw that, when I read that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And the interesting thing about the business that we're in is you've got the income of the self-employed, right? Where
Right.
you can go out there and personally produce. And the beautiful, I come from network marketing, which one of the things we're going to talk about on this episode is, after 25 years in the industry, why I am now in the financial services industry. I've been the number one earner, multiple companies. I've been the master distributor of multiple companies, and I've even owned my own network marketing company. I've made millions of dollars. Why am I in this industry now? We're going to talk about that. But here's one reason why. Just like a realtor, just like a doctor or a dentist, in this industry, you do have the self-employed side where you could go out there and write business and make 100,000 to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million off your own effort. See, that's the thing. There's areas where people can make significant money, right? Or self-employed money, but they're limited to 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, maybe 200 grand a year, right? Is there a true path? Are there actually people making in your industry the big bucks? Because that's a limit, right? Where is the roof? And in most jobs, like I got a friend at a car dealer. I'm like, what's the top guy at your car dealer make? He says about 120,000 a year. I said, well, that's probably your cap. Maybe if you're exceptional, you could go, 10%, 20% above that. But the top guy, are you going to be more exceptional than he is? He said, man, that's tough to do. And by the way, the guy doesn't have any weekends. He has kids. He never sees his kids on the weekends, right? So I said, so that's your limit. So see, the industry that I'm in, the limit is $1 million a year, $500,000 a year, 2, 3. There's people making multiple $5 million a year in this industry off their own efforts. So that's one. The second thing is the passive income, the leverage income, the system building income, right? Where I've got biggest team I ever built, 120,000 people. Now, if 90% didn't do anything and the other 10% were part-time, I still got paid on thousands of hours a day of other people's efforts, right? It's called OPE, other people's efforts. That's what rich people do. They use OPM, other people's money, OPE, other people's efforts, OPI, other people's ideas. See, this company wasn't my idea. The tri-brid model that we have at Experior wasn't my idea. But guess what? It was Jamie Prickett's idea. It was other person's experience. It was his experience in the industry. It was his idea, other people's ideas, and it was other people's money, OPM. It was his money that put it together. I just step in here, follow an existing system. I'm coachable, and I get paid on a bunch of people's efforts, right? So you've got that. Then the last thing is, we not only can do this for us, but we do this for our clients. We show our clients how to, through our products, through our policies, how to grow their wealth tax-free over time through compound interest with index strategies. For example, when the market goes up, instead of a 401k, market goes up, 2002, your 401k turned into a 101k. Then you recover, 2008, 401k turns into a 101k again. 2020, COVID crash, 401k turns into a 101k. Guess what? Rich people don't do that, man. Rich people like growth and protection from downside. That's what we show people. That's what the index strategy is, right? How would you like your money to grow with compound growth right? And interest over time. And when the market crashes, instead of you going up and crashing with the market, you stay level. When the market picks up again, you keep going. Market crashes again, instead of going down, guess what? You stay level, and so on and so forth. So we have those three aspects of the business here. And guess what? We show people. So my thing about money, Ed, is that in 2026, I always refer back to this line. 50 Cent in 2001 came out with his first album. And he said, the only reason for being broke is being in jail. There is, with AI, with the information so readily at your fingertips, with the opportunities available today, if you're broke and can't, now here's the deal. We all have our seasons. We all have gone through our broke seasons. I'm sure you've gone through some yourself, right? I know that I have.
Yep.
It's one thing to go through a season where you're, Freddie Low funds, right? I got that from you, right? Freddie Low funds, when you're low on funds, right? But to stay there is optional. As they say, listen, man, if you didn't come from a rich family, it's okay. But a rich family should come from you. And I truly believe, especially living in America, that anybody can go out and get wealthy in America in 2026. And we have the best vehicle. And I'll stop with this, bro. The industry that we're in, a couple of notes for people that may not be in this industry. $109 trillion industry. The industry that creates more millionaires than any other industry in the world, right? This industry is not on trial. We're in the money business. Our license is a license to print money. So, for people that are looking for a career path, you guys should really talk to us or talk to the person that sent you this video, because guess what? That's what we do, especially our team. We're the fastest growing team in this company, creating the most amount of success in the shortest period of time. And we're doing some special things. Anyways, back to you, Ed.
Yeah. No, and I want to say this. Back to what 50 Cent said, right? You got to be in jail to not, listen, for some people, they don't want to become a millionaire. They don't really care, right? But how about having zero stress about money, right? You never have to worry about money. That's what I tell people. Everybody's got a number, right? It's your financial independence number. It's an amount of money you need to have that you can live off the interest. I just like to keep it simple, okay? If it's $500,000 a year at 10%, you're making $50,000 a year. If you can live on 50 grand a year, and that you're not even touching the 500,000, that goes to the next generation, right? Yeah, a couple things, right? In our business, how is it set up? Think about it. We get paid to help you succeed, right? Think about that, right? It's not like a job where someone doesn't want to teach you the secrets. They're not there to help you, right? Because why? You might take their position. Make sense, right? Here, we have I always say, a major financial interest in the success of the people we work with, okay?
Right.
Why? Because when you earn money, we earn money. And here's the cool thing, Jay, right? It doesn't come out of somebody's commission check. The company has the bonuses and the overrides to pay us, the leaders, to help our people succeed. I mean, that is amazing. I'll tell you, it wasn't like that in NYPD, my friend, okay? All right? Everybody was fighting to become a detective of this unit or that unit, and it's a doggy world. Here, that's not the case. Now, I do have one correction for you, and I know you don't mind. The 109 trillion number, it's a bit outdated. I just checked that 2 days ago. You ready for this? Global. I'm not talking about just U.S. The global, and anybody here, when you're listening, you can go jump on AI and check them, right? It's over 600 trillion globally, okay?
Jeez.
600 trillion, okay? It's bigger than real estate and healthcare combined. Real estate is like 300 plus trillion, right? 600 trillion. And you are on the money. It's created the most amount of millionaires and billionaires every year. Every year, they're number one. They're like the champions of creating wealth. The sector of the industry that creates the most wealth is the financial services industry. And isn't it great that now there's a lot of ways to do it, right? There's banking. There's you could be a financial planner. You could be a Wall Street broker. You could be a hedge fund manager, right? There's a lot of ways to do it. But the way we have it, getting your life insurance license, okay, which is a license to print money, it's the lowest barrier to entry, okay? Because I've had securities licenses before at a former company, right? It's difficult, okay? The securities license tests are difficult. Becoming a stockbroker Series 7, it's difficult, okay? Forget about managing a hedge fund, right? You need capital, you need a lot more. but a license for a couple $100, in most states it's like $200-300. First sale, you're in profit, right? Even a baby sale, your first sale, you're in profit. And from that point forward, you're in great shape making money. So
I love it, man.
yeah, I love the industry, man.
Well, the things that you mentioned are the reason why after 25 years, you asked me before we got on here, you asked me, JC, why you should talk about why you're not in network marketing, right? Been
Yep.
in the industry for so long, a lot of people in this, and you get to meet a lot of people in this industry, especially when you've been on stages for 20 years, right? So why is the reason why? Well, first and foremost, I learned in business this lesson. This lesson is so key for any business. If you want to make a lot of money, if you want to get wealthy, or you want to make the most amount of money, remember that the T in the word timing is significantly more important than the T in the word talent. I don't care how talented somebody is, man. If they're at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong team, wrong leadership, wrong everything, you're going to be very limited on your growth. So if you're in the right industry with the right team and the right systems, comp plan, all these things, you could be significantly less talented than that guy and smoke them, because the T in timing is more important than the T in talent. Now, over time, you can develop the talent and expedite your growth even more, right? So when I look at this business, I realize when I looked at my my past industry, right? I just merged my own network marketing company. For years, I had my own network marketing company, thousands of members, tens of thousands of members. And we decided, hey man, it's time, it's time to go. And it is what it is, right? But here's why in the network marketing industry is taking a hit, and why I predicted last year this would happen. So many professional network marketers are going to come into this industry, and here's a couple of reasons why. The industry isn't what it used to be. Think about this, about the network marketing industry. You're competing against TikTok Shop. You're competing against Amazon. You're competing against influencers on social media that are selling the product for half or a third of what you're selling. That's number one. Number two, you're also competing against a gig economy. When we started, there was no Uber, no Uber Eats, no Instacart. Now people have multiple ways. They just want to make an extra $500 a month, $1,000 a month. They can go deliver food. They could go pick somebody up and drop them off, right? So the industry is changing because of that. Additionally, because of all of these changes, because of Amazon, because of all these things, you've got companies at record-breaking moments, at record-breaking speeds, going out of business. We're talking about 10-year-old, 15, 20-year-old companies, right? Look at Secret Direct, out of business, right? Look at Saint, out of business. My Daily Choice, all these companies, by the way, over 10 years old, out of business. Eric's, almost 20 years old, out of business, right? And I could keep going on. Modere, 20 years in business, I think they were, out of business. They're either going
And good
affiliate,
companies,
out of business.
Jay, and really good companies. They were
Really good
really good
companies.
companies. Yeah. That if you look at it
Yes,
and you're a network marketer, you go, that's the kind of company I want to be with, right? Great leadership, really good products. But as you said, the timing, man, the timing. There's too many options for people, and that's why they've got a big hit right now. But go ahead.
that's right. No, yeah, these are good companies with good products, good timing, good leadership, good systems, good comp plan. But here's the deal. Am I saying that the industry is dead? I'm not saying the industry is dead, but leaders are leaving the industry in droves. This is the industry, the number one industry they're going to, because here's what leaders ask themselves after some time, which, by the way, this is what I asked myself. I asked myself, shit. That's what I said. Shit. 25 years. What do I have to show for it? I look at my assets. I look at my portfolio. I look at my businesses. I look at my passive income, and I'm like, 25 years? I thought I'd be worth 100 million by now. And I'm not at 100 million, nowhere near 100 million. Then I see my friends that put their blinders on in this industry. People that I mentored in the past, people that till this day call me their mentor. And they're way out earning me. Their net worth is way bigger than mine. I had dinner with a friend of mine in December, and he says, JC, you're drastically underpaid, right? December of last year, right? Because he says, you're in the wrong industry. Say, you're right. I'm going to get in this and I'm going to absolutely crush it. And that's exactly what we did. That's exactly what we're doing. So anyways, that's the reason why the industry is changing so much. People are coming here because look, the last thing I'll mention is this. It's a true career path. Let's say, for example, you and I, we go to a BNI group or a Chamber of Commerce, some kind of networking event, and people are introducing themselves. Hey, what do you do? I'm a plumber. What do you do? I'm a realtor. I'm a lender. I'm a loan officer. I'm in the financial services industry. I'm an insurance agent. And then I'm the guy. This happened to me. In 2012, I was the number one earner of a company called Serenergy, healthy coffee, very similar to OrganoGold. I was making 20 to 30 grand a month, and I'm 30 years old, 31 years old. Consistently number one guy speaking on stage, right? $250,000 ring on my finger, blah, 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 right? So I introduced myself, and some of these guys were broke real estate agents, right? But they looked down at me. They looked down at me. Oh, what do you do? I was like, oh, I'm in the healthy coffee business. Oh, well, tell me more. And then when they find out it's network marketing, they kind of look you down their nose. Because here's my point. A lot of network marketers, including myself, are even embarrassed to mention what they do in a setting like that. And man, I say that with all due respect from personal experience. I was a number one guy in that company, the one that got edified the most on the stage, on the conventions in Las Vegas, in front of thousands of people. And I even felt like a little bit weird. I didn't feel like a fellow professional in those circles. However, when I go now to Beverly Hills or Newport Beach to a networking event and I'm networking with attorneys and realtors and architects, I fit in, bro. This is a true profession. Not only that, I own my book of business. My customers pay me till the day they die. Their residual incomes on most of our policies pay us till the day they die. I own my agency. I'm building a true career path, not just something that in 2 to 4 years, I'm going to be starting over again with a new company. 2 to 4 years, I'm going to be starting over with a new company. No, man, that's why the smart money leaders are coming to this industry.
Yeah, a lot of leaders that I would have never thought would have left the industry, right? And they're calling us up. Let's get involved because you know what they realize that it's a lot more, right? And we'll get into the company a little bit, right? But it's a lot more than insurance. It's more than investments, right? It's wills and trusts, right? It's debt, solutions, right? We do it all. We're the whole package, right? It's not like just selling some life insurance. But yeah, when people ask me, I go, listen, I'm in the money business. You know anybody that's looking to learn more about money or earn money? Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's an easy conversation, and the market is massive. Here's another thing. When's the last time you talk about all these companies that went under, right? Good companies, solid companies that if you're a network marketer, you go, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life.
Right.
When do you see a financial service company go under? Rarely. Rarely. Okay.
Right.
But when you go into any big city, the biggest buildings are insurance companies, banks, right? Okay.
Yep.
They're the large skyscrapers, right? Think about it, right? That's the power. Not only that, they're backed by the state pretty much. They don't go under. And I know you know how long they've been around, right? How long has some of these companies been around?
Oh, 100 plus years.
100 plus years. Multi-billion-dollar company. So I want to get a little bit into, Experior because why?
Yes.
Right? We are blessed to not just go sell one product, right? One option, right? We've got dozens of options. We have partnerships, right? With the Transamerica's, right? With the Nationwide, right? With CVS Health, right? Healthcare. I mean, we do so much, right? So that's the beautiful thing. So yeah, this ain't going anywhere. So anybody who's listening, that's the beauty of this. And by the way, right? I think I told my story before, right? I sold my business in 2010. Why am I getting back in, right? I've been financially free since, 16 years now, right? Where I don't have to work, right? But I've been involved in a lot of businesses. Most of them I've made money. A couple that I didn't make money, few losses, right? But guess what? When I look back, Jay, I go, wait a minute. Which one, for the investment that I made, the price of a license, paid me the greatest rate of return? It was financial services. Other businesses I've had to invest $50,000 of my money, $150,000 of my dollars, right? And although I made a profit, it wasn't the big rate of return I was expecting. Financial services doesn't let you down, man. A couple $100, you get your license, sky's the limit.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And like I said, for me, for you, you saw the industry you were in. You retired. You were with one of the biggest companies out there, especially in the network marketing space, rhymes with America. You sold your book of business for millions and you're back. You retired. You don't have to come back, but you saw what we've got with Experior, and you're like, dude, because here's the deal. I always say this to people. It's common sense isn't too common. Watch this. And this is throwing a little jab at you, but you could take it, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
imagine this. Is there one type of shoe that fits everybody or is right for everybody? No.
No.
What about a car? Is there one car that this is a right car for every single person? Right? No, of course not, right? What about food? This is a food that everybody should eat that's right for everybody? No. There's nothing like that. Guess what? There is also not one policy that's right for everybody. There isn't a cookie cutter policy. It isn't like, oh, it's only IUL, it's only wholesale, or whole life, or it's only buy term and invest the difference. That's ridiculous. In 2026, you've got to have options because that's a true professional doing what's right for the customer. So, like you mentioned, we are a broker with over 70 carriers that offer a variety of different policies because guess what? It's not a one size fits all. The other thing that attracted me about Experior is a tri-brand model that it's got. It took the
Talk about
best
that.
of the team building model, right? Of build an agency, override an agency, right? Not only that, generational override, 7 levels of generation. You can earn up to 20% generation. If I get you promoted to my same rank, which that happened, both of us executive directors with the company, right? Guess what? You still override that team 14 to 20% on their entire, even though you're on the same contract level, right? It took the best of the captive model that has the right training. The good things, it took out the bad. The problem with the captive model is that they're captive. They could sell one product, one company, right? Limited on commissions, limited on upward mobility. So that stuff, it discarded. But the trainings, we got trainings every single day. We've got a university. We've got live events. And it took the best of the IMO model, which is, guess what? High contracts, you want to sell to leads, you can sell to leads, right? We start off at new people at 70%. You can work your way all the way up to 130% off your own pin without ever recruiting an agent.
Wait a minute. So everybody starts at, you're talking about minimum 70%.
Minimum
Okay.
70.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of
if you got an
companies
agent that already comes with a 100% contract and they show it, you could honor that 100%
honor it.
contract
Right. Okay.
right
So
away,
70
which a
to
lot of these
130.
team building companies don't allow you to do.
Correct. So 70 to 130, right? Do you have to build a team to get to 130, or can you get to 130 with your own production, personal production?
You can get there with your own production without ever building a team if you don't want to.
Wow. Okay.
See,
Now,
that's what I'm saying.
if somebody reaches your level, right? Let's say you're at 130, because some of these companies, the challenge is this, right? If I'm at 130, you're kicking ass, right? You're a good producer, and you start get to 120, 125, I'm getting concerned. Why am I getting concerned? Because now if you get to my contract level 130, I don't override you any longer. They might throw in a little bonus or something, right? Not much usually, okay? But here, my understanding is what? If you get to my contract level, oh, and by the way, do you have to give up replacement legs here? Like to get to my contract level, do you have to give up any replacement legs?
No, you don't have to do that either.
Think about that. There are companies that for you to get to a certain rank, a leadership rank, you have to give replacement legs to your leader, your upline leader, right? So now we get to the same level. My understanding is, right, there's overrides, right? So if you got to my level, I would still override you because you're first generation, right? Like a child, right? You're my first generation by 14%. Is that correct?
Yes.
Of all your volume, all your business, right? And it goes down 7 levels, 7 to 14, 7.
7 generations.
7 generations. Thank you. 7 generations. But 14, 7% all the way down. A total of what? 28%.
Yep.
You add that to 130, right? I'm not a math genius, but that's a total payout of 158%. I need to say that again for everybody listening, right? Because if you look at different companies, right, they might say to you, hey, we have a contract that goes up to 140, right? 145 or whatever. Yeah, but that's where it stops. Here it's 158% total contract. That's powerful. Yeah.
Very powerful, man. And again, it's 2026. If you're stuck on, there's a lot of companies that I see on the team building side that they're stuck in 1980s philosophies. They copied a philosophy from 1980s. And in 2026, they still have that philosophy. Listen, man, I'm going to just speak from my heart, right? And this is just straight saying the truth. I would not feel comfortable signing up a new person who's excited and motivated, has got some goals. Come on in, go get your license. Let me take all your warm market, and then I'm going to start you off at a 25 or 30% contract. I don't think that's right. I just don't. That's my opinion. and it's only my opinion, by the way, for anybody looking, I'm not mentioning any company names.
Right.
It is my opinion. Okay. There are a lot of these companies, great companies. They're not great for me, but they're great for people. And God bless you, man. Right. For me, though, the new guys, 70% contract, super fair. They with helping 4, 5, 6 customers, they can move up to 85%. No team building at all. Now, do I recommend team building? Hell yeah, I'm a team builder for sure. Then you got the flip side. So in the insurance world, there's a couple models. There's a captive model. Work for one company. I wouldn't do that either. One company. I got a friend. He works for one company. All they sell is IULs. I love IULs. This is my favorite product to sell. But I don't want to. IULs are not for everybody, bro. I got my friend who has 4 children. He's got $100 a month budget. He's barely making ends meet, but he wants to take care of them. And IUL's not for him. He's 31 years old. He's got 4 kids. He wants to make sure if he passes away, that his family's taken care of. For $100 a month, I got that guy $1 million policy with living benefits. If he passes away, his kids at 4 kids under 10, guess what? They're taken care of. So term with living benefits, by the way, is the deal for him.
Difference. Yep, big
100%, right? So you got to be. So we sell it all. We're not just a one. There's some guys that only sell term. Oh, term and invest a difference. That's right for some people, but that's not the deal for everybody. And it's common sense. But here's the deal. It's amazing to me how people drink the juice so much. They'll be sold one thing. This IUL is the only way to go, or term is the only way to go. It's like, no, bro, that's not the right deal for everybody, right? So then you got the team building models, right? Then you got I talked about the captive model. Then you've got the IMO model. Some of these companies pay people 70%, 100%, up to 140%. Great. But then you flank out. You talked about it earlier. I got a text message. I'll probably share the messages here. Ask his friend, hey, man, I'm on 100% contract. I've been producing. What do I got to do to get to 110%? You know what the guy told him? He says, his sponsor, if you get to 110%, bro, I'm not going to make anything off of your organization.
Wow.
Which is crazy outrageous to me.
That don't sound too inspirational.
You're capped. The guy was just open about it, bro. If I put you on 100%, what do I make? That means you're not going. And guess what? That guy at 110 has somebody at 115 or 120. That guy ain't going nowhere. Those guys got to be gone, right? That model doesn't exist. Hey, here's the deal. Because
it's a red line. Doesn't it sound familiar? Remember from solar, right?
It's a red line model.
It's a red line model.
Run from the red line, or you're going to be on the field for life. You have to have the right deal. So there's companies, hey, high contract, and then slave away for 8 hours to 12 hours a day calling leads, right? And less than 1% of people actually build successful agencies and override that agency. Everybody else is a slave runner dialing for dollars. That's why the average person in some of these companies is 27 years old. Why? Because they burn out. They're calling 12 hours a day, 10 hours a day, man. But then you got the smart guys that they just recruit and put them in there, throw spaghetti on the wall, see what sticks, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. We show people, build your agency. Yes, you want to call leads, you could call leads, but there's no flanking out because a comp plan is designed the right way, right? Pays up to 120% team building overrides, plus the other 20, up to 158% in total overrides, team overrides. You could get up to 130% contract on your own efforts. And why? Because there's got to be some space for those generational overrides, because you don't want to be on the field for life. You want to be able to eventually walk away. Maybe you did it for 6 months, a year, 2, 3 years, who cares? But if after 2, 3 years you build a successful agency, you didn't flank out because anybody caught up to you. That's the way to go. So that's why I really believe, bro, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that we are the best kept secret in that industry, bro.
Yeah, absolutely right. So think about this, right? As we start wrapping up here, think about this, Jay, to kind of put it all together for everyone, right? You're born, you realize very quickly, right, that things are not going well because you got a job. So now you start saying, you know what? How do I get financial freedom? You figure out, you know what? I'm going to have to, get in a career that pays me a high income, get a really high income skill, right? Financial services is what we prefer. That's what we like, right? And then the focus is, right, I need to earn more money. I got a house, I got a mortgage, I got kids, right? I got to earn more money. So then if you do your research, you find out very quickly, all right, if I'm going to get into an industry, a sector, right? I don't know, Jay, I'm a common sense guy, right? Which one pays the most helps the most people, is not going anywhere, has a track record of being the industry. Again, you don't got to take a word for it, right? Throw it into ChatGPT. By the way, don't just use ChatGPT. Sometimes it just tells you what you want to hear, right? Throw it into Grok, throw it into Claude, throw it into Copilot, throw it into Perplexity. I use all 7, right? And ask it, which is the industry that's the largest and produced the most millionaires and billionaires? You're going to get the answer, okay? It's going to confirm what we're telling you, right? Well, now, if that's the industry, what do we got to do now? Well, what's the best company in that industry where you can have the highest contracts, be able to build your own agency, right? And, before we run, I want to talk about this, bro, because this is what has me not sleeping, okay? Like I can't sleep since you shared this with me, right? And that is the 4 ways of ownership here, which, by the way, I went into an AI, right? And I said, is there any other, this is no bullshit, bro. Is there any other IMO or financial services company, insurance company that has 4 ways of ownership like we have Experior? We can't find any.
Nope.
AI couldn't find it. You're not going to find it. Okay. So let's
Yep.
let's wrap up and talk a little bit about that, bro, because I
I'll
think
tell
that's
you.
powerful. Yeah, so go ahead. The book of business, start with that.
So you own your book of business day one. So a lot of times people say, oh, if you're not direct to carrier, you don't own your book of business. No, it's in the contract. You own your book of business. There's been people that left the company and they took their book of business. They're getting paid on a residual on their customers, which is great. That's a given, though. That's easy.
Bro,
The next one
by the
is
way, sorry, when I did, I got it. Sorry, I got it. I read it, right? But I barely got out of high school. I had my attorney read it. I said, listen, do me a favor, give this a look over, right? And, let me know tomorrow. He says, yeah,
right.
you own your book of business. So everything you're going to share here, everybody, it's in writing. It's not a
Been
stage
verified.
talk. It's not somebody said it to you. At this level, we're talking millions, right? We can't be like taking somebody's word for it, right? I need to see it in writing and a contractual with a company who's not some startup, right? This company's been around 12, 13 years now, right? Rock
Yep.
solid, right?
Yep.
Fastest growing. By the way, the fastest growing in the insurance and financial services space. This is the fastest growing company out there. Look at it.
Yep. So own your book of business in writing, undisputable. Have your attorney, like you did, look at it. The next thing, though, that nobody else has is own your agency. What happens if you're building, for those of you builders, and you leave or you pass away or you decide to retire? What happens to your agency? What happens if you pass away with Experior? Your beneficiary takes over your book of business, even if they are not licensed.
Correct.
Okay. So you own your agency, not just a book of business, because guess what? A builder's going to make more money from the agency production than from the book of business, but you own both in writing from day one, right? So now here's what happens. Additionally, you can sell your business to any outside company. You want to sell it to Integrity, which by the way, I got to throw this out. Integrity hasn't bought anybody's book of business in 3-4 years. And then there's thousands of people that think that they're going to get their business bought out. Hopefully you do. I wouldn't hold my breath personally, but I'm not going to get into those details. But there's a lot of pie in the sky being sold out there. Stuff that's common sense. Once again, look, nobody sold their book of business. You don't think one person has wanted to sell their book of business recently in the last 3 years? So anyways, here you can sell your book of business outside, but Experior in their contract will say, hey, if you want to sell your book of business for us, we'll buy it at an 8x multiple. You want to sell a portion of it, you want to sell 20% of it, we'll buy 20% of it at an 8x multiple. Maybe you have an investment, maybe you have an emergency, we'll buy that book of business from you, right? Those are all big things, right? And go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. Let's talk about this a little bit more. It's really important because, right, I didn't know the details of this, right? So in other words, you own your book of business, right? That's one. Number 2 is you own your agency. For everybody out here, it may sound complicated. What's my agency? Your agency is all of the agents that are licensed that are producing part-time, full-time, right? Fart-time. Some of them fart around, it is what it is, right? But everybody on your team, any production that they do, that's your agency, okay? So we got that. So one thing is, right, let's say that I want to buy $1 million home, but I don't want a mortgage, man. And I got a multi-million-dollar agency, which, by the way, this ain't network marketing, guys and girls, where you need tens of thousands of people to build a multi-million-dollar business, okay? Here is a very small number. We're going to break those details down more for you probably at our next podcast. But think about this, right? You say to the company, listen, give me a buyout, a percentage of my agency, a percentage. Let's say it's 20%. And you get the $1 million, go buy your house, cash. You still got 80% of your business that you continue to run, right? Now, here's what I didn't know that Pedro enlightened me. So you still got 80% ownership of your agency. The company bought the 20%. But if you go build other leaders, or we call it legs, right? Other leaders, you're getting paid 100% on all of those, right?
Yep.
That's big. Yeah, expand on that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to sell the whole thing. You can sell a portion of it, right? If you say, hey, like you said, sold 20%. I want to make it back. Go build it again. Go build some other teams. Go run some ads, right? And so, you talked about, I want to touch on this point that you just touched on for network marketers, right? A team of 20 people here can make you more than a team of 2,000 people in network marketing. Let that sink in. You could recruit through ads. You could sell through leads. It is the biggest no-brainer. If I sit down with somebody in network marketing, there's a network marketing company I used to be a part of. There's been some guys there that have been there 30 years. They're at $2 million a year, and one of them's at $1.5 million a year in 30 years. We've got guys here that in less than 2 years are at $2 million per year. It's night and day difference, right? But going back to the team building for network marketers or anybody who wants to build a team, the LOA model, when you own your book of business, you own your agency, here's a big thing that people don't realize until it's too late. You do not have to get licensed in every single state and with every single carrier in order to override those sales. See, this is where a lot of people don't get it, because there's companies that do the lead program direct to carrier, but, I got a team in Texas. Well, you got to pay the Texas fee. Oh, I paid the Texas fee, but why am I not overriding it? Oh, because he's selling through Mutual of Omaha, and guess what? You're not appointed to Mutual of Omaha, so you just lost those. So you mean to tell me I got to get appointed to 50 states, and to 40 carriers, 50 carriers, which, by the way, to get appointed in every state in America, it costs $5,000, about 5,000. You're going to get you and everybody in your organization to do. That's not duplicatable. So for the team builders, the LOA model, you don't need a license, non-resident license in any state. You don't need to be appointed to any carrier to override all the sales, regardless of the carrier, regardless of the state. As long as you have your resident state, you could override all the sales that your team does in any state with any carrier. That is the only way to go for a team builder.
Yeah. So Jay, let's make this super clear, right? Because you and I both, we know some very, very big network marketers, right, that are already calling us and saying, listen, we need to sit down, right? Like I'm getting booked up almost every day with people that have built organizations over 100,000, right? Several. And I want to make this clear to everybody. So if they just get their license, right, which is the test is pretty darn easy for everybody. If you don't know it, it's multiple guests, multiple choice, right? Take it as many times as you need to. You'll probably pass it on the first time. We have study guides, aids. We have tutorials. You're going to pass it. Most people do pass it, okay? Not a difficult test, right? So a big network marketer, Jay, are you saying they get their license? There's no requirement that they have to do personal production, correct?
Right.
No requirement. And because they're network marketers, right, they know how to build, say, an army of people throughout the United States. You mean to tell me that the company will pay them for all the sales through any state, through any carrier? They'll pay them their overrides?
Right.
I know the answer, but I want everybody to hear it. And it's in writing. It's in writing. It's in the agreement, okay? So think about the possibility of bringing on network marketers, right, from your company, if you're listening to this, right? And all they got to do is get their license. They never got to write a personal sale. They can recruit like they love to recruit, and they can override the entire country. And by the way, maybe we'll talk about international, because we're also the only one that's going international. But yeah, that's big. One of the things I want to talk about the agency, right, is in case you pass away, right? Talk about that in perpetuity. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, you own your agency, right? I did talk about it earlier. You own your agency. And let's say you pass away, you got a beneficiary that takes over that book of business, not only the book of business, but the agency, okay, even if they're not licensed. Now, there's different levels, right? So they get it for 10 years, and then, there's after that, you can get it indefinitely. So there's some requirements for the indefinitely, but they're not hard requirements. And first of all, it's there. Nobody else even offers that. So that's why I say, we talked earlier about the T and timing is more important than T and talent. Here's the deal. This is a sleeper. This is a sleeper company. I would recommend reach out to whoever sent you this video, or one of us if you found it online, because this will be the company that dominates the financial services industry and the direct sales and team building industries. This is the best kept secret. The timing is right here before the explosion. That's when you want to get started. So yeah, man, we're excited. That's why we started this podcast, right? We want to educate people not only on this business, but of course we're going to talk about our business. We are promoters. I'm proud to be a promoter. That's why I've made the money I've made. Ed has made the money he's made. And in 2026, we're gonna help a lot of people win, and we're gonna use the tools available to us. So, anyways, this is the best kept secret. Reach out to us.
Yeah, yeah. We just, you know what, a big thing is we know how frustrating it is to start over and over and over, right? You know, I'm a little bit different. I was very blessed, right? That right out of the police department, right? I joined the company there 15 years and was able to sell my business, right? But that's not the case. Most people, over 90% of people in the network marketing industry, they're always starting over, man, right? And you know, here you don't have to start over. It's a real profession, as you said. It's state licensed and regulated, right? It's a $600 trillion industry. It's not going anywhere. How about it's AI recession proof, right? Think about it, right? It's got everything you need. And you know, for those of you that are serious, one more thing, earning stock ownership, brother. That's one more part.
That's right. I didn't mention that. You could own a piece in the mothership. Right. If you're helping this company get built, you get to own a piece in Experior, a piece in AOG, which we won't get into here today. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things to mention that we can't even get through it all, right? So I'll go ahead and link a video to the presentation, the business overview, in the description here. For anybody that hasn't seen it, you want to see it, you could catch it in the video in the description. But no, man, listen, it's called the Ownership Empire Podcast for a reason, because we want to show people how to own their business, how to own their life, how to own their time, how to own their stress, right? Like what I mean is, if you own it, means you don't have it, you control it. And money certainly solves that, right? But forget the money. It's not just about the money. It's about the freedom, owning your freedom, right? Like people say, oh, I'd rather be happy than rich. Who says you got to pick? I'd rather be both, right? And I've been rich and I've been poor, and I like rich a whole lot more. So give us a like, give us a follow, send this episode to somebody that got value. If you got value from this, send it to somebody. Help us get the audience up. Help us get the message out. And with that being said, Ed, any closing?
Hey, Jay, how do they reach you, and how do they reach you directly?
Right. It should have some links right on this video for our Instagram, but in the description for sure, you could go ahead and find us. Find me on Instagram. Find me on Facebook. All the links to Ed and I are in the description, and that's how they could find us.
Perfect. Well, brother, another great episode. I look forward to next week. And we're already getting a lot of calls, man. People are very excited about the podcast. So thanks, brother.
Awesome,
enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, my friend. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.